You were part of the primetime players. You and Darion clicked immediately. What's a behind the scenes story about the primetime players that fans have never really heard?
A behind the scene story about the primetime players that fans have never heard. Um, I'd probably say like the first time we stormed into Vince's office, uh, and we stormed in as the Pancake Patterson. Um, that's how it got on TV. We literally stormed in there, and we just went in full character,
Yes.
and he loved it, and was just like, he's like, I was like, "We gotta put this on TV," and he's like, "Absolutely." So they gave us a segment, and I don't think, like I say, I think if if there was more traction around the character and introducing the characters, I think it would have been really, really good. But yeah, I think nobody knows that literally the only reason why they got on television was because literally stormed into me and Darren Young stormed into Vince McMahon's office and just went into full character with it.
That's insane. So, my favorite moment, you guys, with primetime players, you guys won the tag team championships in 2015 at Money
Yeah.
in the Bank. What's your one of your favorite moments? It doesn't have to be tag team, just your favorite moments that you replay in your head.
Probably the first ever tag team elimination match inside of the Elimination Chamber. We were in Corpus Christi, Texas. And it was the first time we ever had an elimination tag team match in the Elimination Chamber. And it was very physical, but probably the most fun I had in a WWE ring at that time. I was in there with some great, great, great talent. And we pulled off something that nobody thought would be able to pull it off.
So, you WWE crowds are insane everywhere you go, overseas and in the US. Where was the loudest crowd at?
Uh, Definitely overseas. Um, I would probably say like France or Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was uh Puerto Rico was extremely loud.
Was that they had,
Bad Bunny,
that was
it was insane.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, I watched that live,
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It was insane. So, but anytime we go overseas, like those crowds, they're singing all the theme songs. Like it is so fun, and so like the stadiums or arenas are smaller. Most of them are smaller than what we have over here. So it's like maybe 15 to 18,000, whereas over here it might be 25, 30,000. And yeah, they pack that place, and it is like a movie, like being in a movie every time.
It's cool. What's one sacrifice you had to make for your career that fans never really think about?
My time with my kids, that's a big sacrifice in itself. When you're on the road 4 or 5 days a week, um, that's a big ask of my children, and especially when they started. When I started, they were 2 and 4, and so seeing me leave, my youngest son would cry, sometimes, and because I would go to the airport and they'd see me leave, so I had to stop having them go to the airport with me. And DJ would always console him and be like, "He's coming back. He's just going to work and this and that." Um, but I think that's the biggest sacrifice that any WWE superstar, anybody that works with WWE in general, is just being away from your family so many days of the week. And it's gotten a lot better now because we don't do as many non-televised events, if any. Um, and so the schedule is a lot different now. But yeah, I would think the biggest sacrifice for me was just time with my kids. But I made up for it in a lot of ways too. When I'm home, I'm home. And when I could bring them on the road, I would bring them. So they've traveled tons of places. They've seen a lot of really cool stuff, and they've done a lot of really cool things. So, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They were able to be exposed to some really cool stuff. But yeah, I would say the greatest sacrifice I had to make was time.
What's one of the most underrated superstars that you've worked with, and what made them so special?
I think one of the most underrated. superstars that I ever had a chance to work with was Tyson Kidd.
Man,
And he was so special because he's literally a walking encyclopedia of wrestling moves, wrestling knowledge, wrestling psychology. He still works with the company. He's a producer now. Uh, really good friend of mine. But between him and Natalia, I don't think there's two wrestling minds on the roster that are greater than those two individuals when it comes to pulling together stories that make sense, um, and also that are entertaining. I mean, Tyson Kidd is probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest wrestling minds in the business.
you've won the Warrior Award for WWE, and you've also been known for being humanitarian philanthropist. Can you talk a little bit about your foundation?
Yeah, so my Bullet Family Foundation, we started in 2018, and it was literally, a hesitant start simply because I didn't know much about the nonprofit world, but I also realized I'd raised millions of dollars for so many different organizations, but I never knew where the money was going. I never knew if it was going to overhead, I didn't going to the actual cause. And so once I found out that I can have my Bullet Family Foundation and I can literally support anything that I want to support, it made things a lot easier for me to like start moving in that direction. And I didn't realize at the time that I was kind of building a legacy for my family to not only be a part of, but also to leave, you know, another significant mark on the community with the last name Bullard. That really, for me, my name didn't really mean much growing up because like I say, I'm the product of a sexual assault. Uh, I had the last name Bullard. I didn't really have much to be proud of about it because I didn't know much, you know, behind the name. But now I know what I stand for. I know what I've gone through, and I want families. I want to be able to positively impact families like my life was impacted uh, as a kid, and how my mom's life was impacted because of people investing in others when they had essentially nothing to gain in return. So, my Bullet Family Foundation for me it's really not less about me and more about what God's allowed me to do to help tell a story that He could only write. I couldn't have told you or anybody that I would be sitting in the position that I'm sitting in today, just based on my own merits or based on my own talent. God has literally had His hand on me from the beginning, and I want to make sure that everything that we do through my foundation, that the love of God is evident in each and everything, from the presentation, from the execution, and from the smiles on thousands of people's faces. I run the largest back to school bash in the entire world right here at Raymond James Stadium. I run one of the largest Christmas events in the entire state right here, birthed at my church, with 200 gifts. Now we help 39,000 families
Wow.
throughout the holiday season in partnership with Metropolitan Ministries to help kids and families with food, toys. We have a holiday tent that we support with Metropolitan Ministries. It's about the size of a Walmart. Um, and so, it's not just about doing seasonal things for me. It's literally about doing transformational things year round. I think in our country, especially, we do a lot of transactional things. Christmas comes around, everybody wants to give gifts. Thanksgiving comes around, everybody wants to give turkeys. Not realizing that some of these people that you're giving turkeys to, they don't have electricity to cook their meal. They don't have a house to store this food in. Um, they don't. They may have. They may have to eat off this for 1, 2, 3 days, and then they're right back to where they were before. So I'm into really having a holistic approach to, all right, if we help this family, is this a temporary fix or is this something that we can make a transformational fix? And I applaud everybody that wants to help people and give people opportunities. but I also believe in being a good steward of what God has given me and given me the ability to do. So I don't write random checks to random organizations just because they're doing good work. Like even if I write a check to any organization, I earmark it for a specific thing simply because as a donor, and a lot of people don't realize this, as a donor, you can literally say, I want this specifically go for this. And by law, whatever 501c um, that you donate to has to adhere to what it is that the donor wants.
So you've worked with countless kids and communities. Can you tell us about one young person's story that kind of stuck with you and motivated you to keep going?
Um, eh, I got to pick just one. I would say uh, there's one kid without me saying his name. He was in Brandon. I was introduced to him his senior year, track runner, and he made a decision to go out to Texas to go to college. He got there, and his mom is severely disabled. His brother is nonverbal autistic, and they grew up in poverty. And I got introduced to him by two friends of mine, and at the time he was just trying to. The coach it recruited him to go to Texas, left school there, left the school, went and took another job somewhere else. So he's kind of out there, no scholarship, no nothing. Um, I ended up making a couple phone calls to uh, Mike House, the track coach, who's also my fraternity brother at the University of Florida, to try to see if there was any way that we can get him into the University of Florida. Um, by God's grace, it was like less than 2 weeks. We were able to get him transferred in, get some of the credits transferred in, and 4 years later, he's walking across the graduation stage, and he's the first one in his family to do so from the University of Florida. So that would be one story of many that are like that that I would definitely say stood out the most.
All right, so let's set the setting for the next question. You're at WrestleMania, you get the headline. What's the storyline, and how would you want the storyline to end?
I get the headline WrestleMania. The storyline would be um, I wanted to be a tag team match, and I would want John Cena as my tag team partner versus The Rock and Brock Lesnar.
Wow, that's a heavyweight match.
Yeah, and the storyline would be the ultimate bad guys versus the ultimate good guy, and um, but all four guys, respectfully in their own right, have helped shape in some sort of way the infrastructure of how business is done in WWE. For me, through philanthropy and how I've kind of helped create this safe space for talent to go out and do things in their communities and stuff like that. For John, obviously being one of the most celebrated champions in the history of the WWE, but also uh, uh, being one that has granted the most wishes of any celebrity or athlete to make a wish. Um, and then you got Rock and Brock. I just like the Rock and Brock connection, kind of like the Rock and Sock connection when his and Mick Foley were doing their thing. But I just love the aspect of the storytelling going up and having the opportunity to work with literally, in my opinion, three of the greatest to ever be in the ring. Um, Brock, Rock, and Cena.
That's an insane match right there.
Mhm.
So, if WWE gives you a free pass for to come back for one night, what would you do? You can do
Uh,
anything.
Free pass for one night. Um, I would probably host WrestleMania in
Oh,
Saudi Arabia when we
Saudi
go.
Arabia.
Yeah,
That
which we're having WrestleMania in 2027 in Saudi Arabia, which is the place where I slid under the ring. and made history as the world famous, most famous slide.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Yeah, no, I'll break it up. I made a lot of money off of that, so I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right, and so let's do a bonus question right here. Um, if you're going to the gas station, right? What would you say? What's your snack? What's your go-to snack?
Pistachio nut.
Pistachios?
Yeah, pistachio.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you for the interview.
yeah, man.